Thanks for tuning in to this week's Springboard Live. My name is Greg Robinson. I'm the Talent Development Manager, Product Trainer, whatever you want to call it here at SharpSpring. I'm sitting alongside Mr. Brian Tobin, the Product Manager, SharpSpring Guru, right? I'm sure you all know and are familiar with Mr. Tobin. And today's topic is going to be visual workflows. What? I know, it's crazy. I know you guys have been waiting for this. I know you guys have been waiting to see what it looks like. And so we're going to go ahead and give you a little sneak peek, a little preview of what the tool looks like, and then we'll go from there. So today's agenda is going to be basically combining triggers with filters for highly targeted nurture campaigns. We're going to have, be able to leverage automation for easier lead management. We're going to discuss best practices for creating these automated workflows. So we actually currently have released this to just a small set of our partners, basically beta testing it, making sure that all of our ducks are in a row before we release it fully to everybody. So if you guys are excited, I am too. So let's go ahead and just kind of jump in and let you know what's going on here. So again, this is a visual workflow builder, and the whole purpose of this is so that you can visualize your marketing process, right? A lot of you guys have already created flowcharts in your system. You already have flowcharts, maybe on Google Drive, maybe you're using draw.io to kind of visualize your marketing process and have a diagram that sort of displays that, right? Well, in the past and with other marketing automation platforms, you'd have to take this flowchart and turn it into whatever fits into that system, and they usually don't align. So we've actually created a nice, simple interface for you to take this flowchart that you probably already have and translate it into SharpSpring language so that you can basically, navigate through the workflow builder in the same way that you navigate through constructing or visualizing this on your own time. So the addition to this is you're able to build multiple paths in one window. You basically can have one single window on your computer where you can determine a whole slew of different navigation points for these leads that are coming through and being generated. So right off the bat, I did want you guys to know that only administrators and marketing managers will be able to create visual workflows. So just know that moving forward. And some of the feedback I got from the last Springboard Live was that we spent a little bit too much time on this beginning intro, going through the terminology. I had to do it this time because it's a new release, but do know I'm listening to you guys, and I know that you'd prefer me just jumping in. So I'm not going to spend too much time here. I'm just going to go through some of the definitions we have. We kind of have this thing now called time or time delay, and it basically sets a time delay for your actions in the visual workflow, and that allows you to segment or push out emails at a certain time. And moving forward from that trigger or filter. And the trigger is just a part of the visual workflow that creates a branch inside of that visual workflow builder, right? And filters, you guys are familiar with this. It's just additional criteria that a lead must fulfill before moving on to the actions in a visual workflow, and they create branches for you so you can give different actions for those filters. And actions, I mean, that definition obviously is pretty self-explanatory. They're actions within the visual workflow. Once I get in, you guys will see exactly what I'm talking about. And action groups are just actions lumped together. There's multiple actions previously constructed and now a group. And so visual action groups, those are previously built action groups built within the visual workflow builder. And so I did blow through that, guys, but do know this is going to be memorialized on the partner portal, so you'll have all this information later to digest. And then so I know a lot of you guys are asking, well, what's different? What's changing here? What should I know about, when I get access to this feature? What's the same is the tasks. The tasks, the triggers and filters, the actions and action groups, those are all the same. Nothing changes. So you'll still have the same list of actions, the same list of tasks moving forward. And the automation logic is the same too. So you don't have to relearn this, guys. You don't have to do extra homework and read up on how this new feature works. It's really the exact same. But now we have branches, and we can actually branch out from filters and actions. Just allows us to have a more tailored communication of these leads and base that off of engagement or what they have or have not done. So we're also able to create action groups after tasks. I know you guys have been asking for this, and in the past we would create the workflow or action group first, and then we would attach that to a task. Now we can actually start from the very beginning of the workflow, right, where we'll designate a task and then determine what the actions are. And so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get started, guys. Brian Tobin is here manning the chat window right now, live on the spot. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to enter them into the Q&A on that GoToWebinar control panel, and he will be able to answer any of your questions, or we'll bring them up at the end if they require a little bit more detail. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump on right in. So well, there's a couple ways we can get to the visual workflow builder. You'll see here at the top of the automation section, there's that visual workflows. It's going to live right underneath the automation tab for you guys. Or my personal favorite way is always going to this new button, top right. I think this is such an important navigation point in the application. It's where we can do basically anything that we want just from one click. And so you'll see down there we have that visual workflow icon. I'll just go ahead and click into that, and now we will have the ability to name this workflow. And so I'm going to use a very common example. I know a lot of you guys do it, and I know I do it myself for my own personal endeavors, and SharpSpring does it, and that's gated content. Okay, and I'm sure you guys are familiar with that phrase. I'm just going to give you a nice quick definition. Gated content is just the ability for you to force your leads or visitors to your website to fill out a form or give us their information to receive that content. So instead of just giving it away for free, we actually are able to collect information, generate leads, and then hopefully put those leads on nurture campaigns and go from there. So it just allows us to easily manage these leads moving forward. So I'm just going to go ahead and call this a gated content. Let's just call this drip campaign. I know a lot of you guys like that verbiage, that phrase, so I'm going to keep with it and stick with it. And as you can see here, this is our visual workflow builder. And so yeah, this is basically where we go, and we basically will first designate just a simple workflow with a trigger, filter, and action, and then we're going to go off and branch off of these things so I can show you all of the possibilities we have. And so you'll see right here that plus sign is where I'll first designate my trigger. And now we have this really cool pop-up modal that comes up. And this is where we can see the same list of triggers that you're used to, right? Nothing here has changed. And so obviously the most common one will be when somebody fills out the form. So I'm just going to go ahead and click that, and we'll go ahead and choose a form name. And for this one, I kept it simple, gated content. This is a gated content form. It could be a form where someone's forced to download a case study or what have you and go from there. I'm going to quickly pop into our SharpSpring website just to show you how we do gated content. You'll see this is our main website. Right off the bat, there's this little button that says download the guide. When I click download the guide, it takes me to a form. So instead of actually downloading it right there, I have to fill out this form in order to receive that content. This is gated content. It's as simple as that. So I just wanted to show this example so you guys are familiar in case you still didn't kind of pick that up. So aside from that, I'm going to go right back in here, choose the form gated content. I'm going to say at any time. You can have it during business hours or during non-business hours. I like to say at any time. Some people are surfing the internet rather late, so I prefer to kind of keep it open like that. And so as you see there, it added it right in. And now I'm going to go ahead and add a filter. All right, and I think a good filter is, they went, they kind of surfed around my website. They wanted to download a case study, so they filled out the form. But I want to know whether or not they visited a pricing page first, right? I want to know whether they went and saw how much the product cost, because that kind of is indicative of how interested they are. And so if I hit that plus sign and I'll click filter, now I'll have that same pop-up show up in the same filters, right? And so again, I think, if they have not seen the pricing page, I think a really good thing to do is to send them a free quote. And then if they view that free quote, we can take some actions on them later. So as you'll see here under site actions, I'll choose has not seen the page. All right, I'll go down here. I'll start typing in http://sharpspring.com/pricing. Okay, and you'll see here when any of the following has not seen this page, sharpspring.com/pricing. And once I click OK, you'll see this now added into the visual workflow. All right, from there, I just wanted to create a very simple autoresponder when someone filled out the gated content but hasn't seen the pricing page. Let's send them a free quote. So what I'll do now is I'll click this plus sign and click action. All right, from action, these are the same workflow actions, action group actions that you've seen in the past. Nothing's changed again. So I'll go under communication. I'll click sends the email, and I'll start typing the name of my email. Now, let's just go ahead and say free quote. And I do have the option to wait until next available business hours. You may or may not want to choose this. I actually was surfing on my phone today, and I was just happened to notice a lot of emails fly in about 8:30 a.m. And I was thinking, man, that's actually a pretty decent strategy to send emails right when you know somebody's awake, right when you know when they're on the phone viewing this stuff. So I'll go ahead and wait until next business hours. And as you can see here, there's that floppy disk. All I need to do is hit save, and now we're good to go, guys. Right? So we can say here when someone fills out the gated content and has not seen the pricing page, send them during next available business hours the free quote. All right, and so this is actually not yet live. I have to click this disabled and change it to active, and now we're good to go. So again, guys, I went in here and I added a trigger, just do this, then added a filter, and then added an action. So this is a very simple auto response. It's a very simple nurture campaign. I want to stop right now, see if you guys have any questions, and if you do, go ahead and shoot them into the control panel Q&A chat box, and Brian will be able to answer them for you. All right, so with that said, I'm going to go ahead and add additional filters to this. I want to have it be when someone fills out the form and they either have seen the pricing page or they have not seen the pricing page. I want that to branch out. And so in order to do that, I actually go up here to the same place I added the filter, click filter, and now I'll say, instead of has not seen the page, I'll say visits the page. Okay, and then so I'll go ahead and type http://sharpspring.com/pricing and click OK. Now you'll be able to see this actually branch out, right? So we have, if they fill this out, then if they have or have not seen the pricing page, put them on different actions. So this one was sending a free quote, but if they have seen the pricing page, I'll go ahead and send them a discount offer, because I know they've seen the pricing pages, but they haven't actually reached out to me. That means they're on the fence, and I want to push them off and get that revenue. So I'll go ahead and click action, and now I will click send the email, and I will have this be a discount offer. Okay, and I'll wait till next available business hours. I think that's always best practices. And so here's that really cool branching that I was talking about. This was not possible in the other automation engine. I think this is one of the greatest benefits of this. It's being able to take from this very first entry point the ability to, what they have not have done, base these actions off of that. So as you can see here, I just got to hit save changes, and now I'm good to go. But so what if I wanted to, if they did actually click the discount offer, or they viewed something in the email, I want to put them on a lead nurture campaign. I want to be able to now decide to send them emails based on the fact that they have engaged with this email. So again, this is fills out form, has not seen page, send them free quote. And if I click this plus sign and then click trigger, I can then say if they have viewed the media or visited from the email. And visited from the email is just clicking a link in an email that takes them to a tracked page on your website. And views the media is actually when they click a media center asset inside of the media. And then so if I was just to go ahead and click this visits from the email, I'll go ahead and I can choose what link in the email, or I can just say any. But the most important part is actually now the capability of removing from the parent action group. And as you can see here, this will add contacts to the new action group and remove them from all scheduled events from the current action group. This is incredible, okay? This is the ability to take them off of this action group without having to create additional action groups to remove from action group. I know that sounds crazy. I'm super excited about it. I'm gonna go ahead and click this toggle and then click OK. And once I zoom out, you'll actually be able to see that this has branched off even further, right? Which is just it's just cool. I just like it so much. Brian likes it too. We all like it. It's just great. So anyways, aside from that, maybe now that they've engaged with this email, I want to put them on a nurture leads campaign, and a nurture engaged leads campaign. And what I'll do is I'll actually, since you may have already created this action group and you don't want to have to sit there and build it out every time, you can actually go to this plus sign, and instead of adding action by action, we can go down to action group and do one of two things. Either start the action group entirely or insert the contents of the action group. I'll go ahead and just start the action group, which I've called nurture engaged leads. I call them engaged because they've clicked a link in my email. And once I hit OK, you'll now see that this branches off into another action group, right? Which is pretty dang cool. So aside from that, we also have the capability of, when we create these actions, adding a time delay to these actions. And from there, I'll go ahead and click the, so I got to always save it before I can do anything in here. But then I'll go ahead and say I want to add another action to this and continue on down the line. What I can do now is actually add a time delay. And I can say, after I've sent them the free quote or discount offer, I want to wait a couple days and send them on something else. Send them another email. And so as you can see there, it adds that little clock. It adds a 2-day buffer, and now I can go in and add another action. Maybe I want to just go ahead and keep them going to lead nurture email 1, right? From there, if I wanted to go ahead and after that wait, well, I don't know, maybe a week, I think is a good time frame. I'll go down here, select a week, hit OK, adds the time delay or that buffer. And then I'll go ahead and add another action where I can very quickly send the second lead nurture email. So it's as simple as that, just going in and designating what emails you want and the time you want spent between those email sends, and you're good to go. And so aside from that, a couple other cool things I wanted to show you is in filters, we have the capability of adding multiple rule groups to this filter, and it basically essentially creates what we call a compound filter. And so before doing that, I did want to show you if you're looking at this and you're like, well, Gray, I don't know what any of these things actually say. I see when a contact went to the URL, but that does me no good because I can't see the URL, right? All you have to do is actually click it, and now we can actually see the full criteria for this filter, the full criteria for this trigger. And so from there, I'm going to go ahead and add another filter. Always got to save changes, guys. That's one of the key things about this. It's there to make sure that you're not adding things erroneously. So I'm going to go ahead and add this filter in here. And I'm going to go ahead and say, let's just say it's based on lead field or lead status. And I don't want to send this to existing customers. I don't want to send this to contacts, because contacts are just internal folks. So I'll go ahead and click has the field. And we'll start typing in lead status. And from there, I'll say I want this action group to take place if someone is not a contact. Okay, it's right off the bat there. And then if I was to hit maybe add another group, and I wanted to say has the field status also not equal to customer or op on, then that's all I have to do. If you wanted this to be an or statement or a disjunctive statement, then we would just leave it as is, but we could make it a conjunction and make it so that the two are required. So that really isn't going to make sense for our explanation, so we're going to stick with when any of the conditions are met. I just wanted to show you that that does exist up there. And aside from that, I'll go ahead and click OK. And from there, I'll go ahead and looks like I exited out before it had a chance to say. So I'll just go ahead and grab that again. I just wanted to show you very quickly what that compound. Oh, there it is. Cool. Right on. Awesome. And so that's that compound filter right there where we can see it says two rule groups. I'll be able to click into that and it'll say when the following is true, either they're a contact or they are not a customer. Then we'll be able to put them on. I don't know. Let's go ahead and go to action group over here, and let's just put them on just our standard lead nurture email marketing campaign. And then so from there, guys, it's really this whole SpringBoard Live, this whole webinar is designed just to give you a preview of what is expected and what you should expect when this is fully released to you guys. Again, we're getting all of our ducks in a row and making sure that everything is honky-dory for y'all before we send this out. So if you're not seeing this inside of your instance up here at Automation and Visual Workflows, that's because we're still in the process of getting all of our ducks in a row, and we're going to push it out to you guys when everything is ready and set. So with that said, I want to kind of open up the floor to any questions that any of you guys might have. And oh wow, it looks like we have a couple of them in there. So first question we got in from you guys is, can I use my pre-existing action groups in the Visual Workflow Builder? Great question, guys, and absolutely. Answer is yes. And what you're going to be able to do is going into the Visual Workflow Builder. We'll just go ahead and, again, after a designated trigger or filter, all we have to do is just click that action group, and now you'll see here we can add the action groups that we've already created. So you don't have to every time go in here and change things up or constantly add these every time that you're in the Visual Workflow Builder. We'll be able to call existing ones here in the system. All right, great question, guys. Yeah, absolutely. All right, looks like we have some other questions in here. Is the existing method of creating tasks and action groups going away? So that is a good question. It's not going to go away right now, guys, but it may in the future. So do be aware of that. We're going to go ahead and let you guys know about that in a nice official correspondence. But great question. For now, they'll stay in, but we may see eventually them, every action group and whatnot being created in the visual workflow builder. So great question. And okay, we got, man, this is great. We have a couple more questions coming in. So let's see here. Is this feature released? I do not see this within my instance. Great question. I'll go ahead and lay this down. Yeah, it's in final QA right now. So our QA is going down the line and connecting all the dots, looking to see what works, what doesn't work, and looking how we can fix all that stuff up. And we can expect, do you have an ETA? Great question. I would expect about, I'm going to go ahead and estimate about 3 weeks, guys. 3 weeks. So just keep an eye out for our correspondence. Keep an eye out for when we let you know, and then we can go from there. Brian actually has a couple things he wants to add in here. So with that said, I'm going to give the floor to him.
Yeah, we're just getting a ton of questions, and it was tough to give them to Greg in an organized way. So we're just going to run through these that came in. Do we have an ETA? So that's the answer that Greg just gave. So honestly, we have a subset of customers that are currently utilizing it. We are really hammering this hard on the QA side to make sure that it works effectively once it comes out. I think on my side, 3 weeks is, I would say, unless something absolutely crazy happens, it's going to be out in 3 weeks. Next question, is the removed exclude function still in force? Yes, so it's full feature parity, Jeff, for the existing action group and the task domain system. All we did was really add a front-end GUI to it to make it in the format that Greg just showed. So great question. Will you roll out the option to toggle between the old and new? So it's not like the inline editor where it's a replacement of a feature. So the existing tasks and action groups are still going to be there. When Greg showed it in this instance, there's an additional drop down under the automation tab. You're not going to have to toggle between. If you don't want to use it, you don't have to. It's completely optional. A lot of folks just have been asking for it. It's a really good way to show it to the customers for what exactly we're doing with our automations that we're building out. Next question we have from Mark, do all existing action groups turn into visual workflows? Not natively, so what you'll have to do is, like Greg showed in the example, when you add a pre-existing action group to a visual workflow, you just add that action group to the workflow. So they're all accessible in there, but it's not as if they're all going to show up in that dashboard initially. Next question, can we copy these and repurpose these from one instance to another? Not yet. I absolutely see this as a feature request. We've heard that before, Chris. This is one that I'd like to champion and get in the instance. It's kind of complex because of how we organize really data in the instance, but as of today, the short answer is no, you cannot copy them from one instance to another. I think it's something that definitely, there's a conversation that should happen with that we can have this be championed. Can we export this diagram as a PDF? Jane, that's a great question. It's actually one of the things we did not take into consideration. We built it, but when we initially got customer feedback, that's what people asked for, because the goal of this is sometimes our customers don't understand how complex these communications we build out are. So we are adding that functionality so you can export that diagram. And just like all the exports from the app, it's rebrandable based on your agency. So you can then show this to your clients, and it's circling back to probably the first 5 minutes of this call Greg talked about, we build these diagrams currently in draw.io or some other tool. You can just export it, show the value, and then once customers say yes, you flip that active toggle and you're good to go. Yeah, Jeff, I'm sincerely sorry about the audio. I have no clue what's been happening, and I'm going to have a conversation right after this call to figure out what's going on. Can you download the visual workflow, Chris? Same exact question. Absolutely, you can export it as a PDF. The last one that I have coming in, are personas available as a workflow filter? Absolutely. So that's one of the great examples of using branching. So we do this on our own site for a variety of things, but persona-based dynamic content is phenomenal. Then persona-based automations are fantastic. So a way that you can say if someone fills out this form and they're a CEO versus a designer versus a product manager, let's send them a different communication path, which is you're thinking in the exact way that we want folks to think about this tool. So that's a super exciting question. Hey, Mike, I'm pumped too. It does look great. I appreciate that feedback. And the last question, can dynamic content be used in these workflows for branching? Dynamic content really in a workflow are filters, because dynamic content is just saying based on criteria, let's do something different. So it's not exactly, quote unquote, dynamic content where we talk about a landing page changing or an email changing based on the recipient, but absolutely based on criteria, they can receive different communication. And if that's not clear, Chris, let's just connect after this call and chat about that a little bit further. The last thing I want to do before I give it back to Greg to close up, guys, this is one of our biggest features that we've ever added to the app. We're extremely excited about it. We want all feedback, whether it's positive, negative, what can be improved. So as this gets released, let us know. We're trying to be a lot more focused on this kind of this idea of customer-driven development and making sure that what we're building is good for you all. So I don't care if you tell me that you hate this. I think all feedback is great. I don't think you're going to say that. I think you're going to really like it. But that's what I want to emphasize on from our side as a company and as a product manager here. We build stuff for you. So if you don't like it or if it's not good, let us know. And if you do like it, let us know too, because that's really exciting for us to hear. And with that, Greg, those are the end of the questions. Feel free to wrap up.
Thanks, Brian. That was incredibly helpful, actually helpful for me as well. So that's awesome. So guys, I'm just going to go ahead and give the last little bit of this presentation, just kind of showing you again, reiterating and reinforcing the SharpSpring objective that we have here. Again, we're looking to drive more leads, convert those leads to sales, and optimize our ROI. I always like to remind you guys of this because this is the reason why we are using SharpSpring, why you are using SharpSpring. So always remember that this tool is there for you to drive those leads, generate leads, and convert those leads to sales through nurture campaigns and personalized messages, and then optimizing your ROI by being able to go back, see how those leads came in, were your marketing dollars spent wisely, and can you do anything to improve? So aside from that, the next SpringBoard Live is going to be about enhancing your sender status. So say it ain't spam is the title of the SpringBoard Live. I know you guys love that that title. I do too. It's going to be on June 23rd. We're going to review the importance of engagement, discuss prohibited content, and evaluate sender status. So this one's an incredibly useful one, especially for you guys to be able to relay this to your clients and have information to arm yourselves with more knowledge about the spam world and all that good stuff. So if you did have additional questions, go ahead and log into your SharpSpring application. Click that black question mark, and on the top right corner, click Get Support. I need help with, request training, and select app area training, and then go from there. All right, and if I wanted to show you in this app where that is, if you click again that question mark, click Get Support, you'll have the capability of requesting training right there. Okay, and then you can just let us know what you want to learn, and we'll teach you. So aside from that, guys, thanks for attending. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to email learn@sharpspring.com. That's a nice little email bucket that we have now for the training team, the learning team, where either myself, Jeff, or Joel will be able to reach out to you and get something scheduled. So again, learn@sharpspring.com. Thank you guys for tuning in to this week's SpringBoard Live. I know it's Friday. That's a good thing. Remember that. And we'll see you next Friday. All right? Thanks again, everyone. Take care.